Hey everyone, it's Cody. We're back with another market update for the St. George market. We've seen a lot of changes over the last couple months, and I think we're going to continue to see changes going into the winter months. I've talked about this for a while here on the channel. We're starting to see some seasonality come into play here in the area, and we've also seen massive adjustments in interest rates. They've been up, they've been down, they've been back up, they've been back down. They're kind of all over the place, and we're starting to see some changes here in the market. We're also going to talk about cash purchases. This makes up a huge percentage of the purchases here in St. George, and I want to talk about that because it's actually driving a large portion of the market. We'll talk a little bit about existing homes versus new construction and the benefits of each of those. And we'll give you an overview of where the market's going and where it's been over the last little bit. So with that said, let's jump into this. As we do that, guys, my name's Cody Steck, your favorite Utah realtor. If you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, maybe you're moving here to the area or you already live here in the St. George area and you want to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please reach out to me, call, text, or email anytime. I've had hundreds of people move in from out of state. I've helped hundreds of people here in the state as well buy and sell, and I would love to help you next. I have tons of people who watch these videos that get value from them and who do end up reaching out to me. So if you're in that position, please reach out. My information is here on the screen. With that said, let's jump into my computer screen here. We'll take a look at this information here together. Let's take a look at interest rates first. So this is the 30-year fixed interest rate. You can see that this has changed. It's been up, it's been down. It always kind of fluctuates, but over the last 6 months or so, from April through October, we went from basically low 6% range all the way up to about 8% here in October. Now we've come back down a little bit. We're down here in the low 7% range, which actually feels impactful, at least for me, because I'm in the market every single day. I'm talking to people, I'm looking at interest rates, I'm looking at how the market is moving, I'm showing houses, talking to buyers, talking to sellers. For me, this actually looks like a very big impactful change, right? To see that we were back here at 8% towards the end of October, and now we're back down to 7%. But if you really look at it, rates are really only back to where they were in August or early September, right? They haven't really changed that much. We're sitting in the low 7% range. So yes, it did come up and then it came back down, but we're back to a range that is, still relatively new in the grand scheme of things. We did hit just over 7% in July and back here in May, and then even back here in March, we did tick over just over 7% for a short period of time. So interest rates are still high. We're still seeing the same thing on 15-year fixed rate mortgages. They're sitting at roughly 6.5%. Honestly, that doesn't make sense unless you just want a smaller loan. You want to pay off your loan faster. It doesn't really make sense. You're not saving a whole lot on interest. Usually the 15-year is about 1% lower than a 30-year. So right now it's only about 0.5%, which doesn't really make sense in that instance. Let's zoom in here on FHA loans, and then we'll jump into the market update here in just a second. So again, FHA loans are about 6.5%. The reason why FHA is lower is, one, because they're government backed, and so they have a little bit more security. They're a little bit more confident in those loans. There's a little bit less risk. And also number two, because they do charge private mortgage insurance, which means that the loans are typically more expensive, and that does offset some of the savings that you can get from going with a conventional loan. So although this does show FHA at 6.5%. You might be asking, why doesn't everybody just go FHA? Well, it's because there's additional fees for closing the loan as well as carrying that loan. You do have to pay that PMI, which really makes your effective interest rate probably closer to like 7%, which is roughly in line with a 30-year fixed conventional loan. So generally, if you have the money, if you have the credit worthiness, going with a conventional loan is going to be your best option. Real quick, just taking a look at jumbo loans here. Jumbo loans are still at about 7.5%. So they've come down slightly, but again, jumbo loans are still seen as fairly risky, and so they carry a higher interest rate because of that. If we take a look over here at the 5/1 ARM, 5/1 ARMs are in the low to mid 6.5% range right here. So it kind of fluctuates month to month. But with that said, let's jump over here and take a look at what's going on in the market. So you can see my search criteria here. This is for the state of Utah. County is Washington. So this includes all home types here in Washington County. Like I said, we're going to talk about new construction homes. We're going to talk about existing homes and what's happening in both of those markets. And then we're going to talk about cash purchases as well, because I think that's something that's critical to talk about here in this market and what's actually driving the market overall. So let's take a look at this. If we come down here to, let me zoom in here and make this a little bit bigger for us. November of 2023, according to this data set, we had 118 home sales, which is down just a little bit from August, September, October. These months were actually very close, within 1 or 2 sales of each other. And then it did drop off down roughly 32 sales from the prior month, largely due to interest rates, but also due to seasonality, right? If you had a home purchase that was put under contract in October, that means it actually closed in November. So anybody who was purchasing or at least looking at homes in October was was subject to these higher interest rates that we saw during that time. So that's partially why there's the drop here. However, prices actually changed, quite a bit, right? If you look at the median sales price, that's this column right here. We are at 500 in August, September 572, October 500, November 542. So it's up, it's down, it's kind of all over the place, especially with this data set, because there's so many different home types that are selling each month. When you only have 100 home sales or 150 home sales each month, the data can be skewed very quickly based on what homes actually sell. If there's a lot of condos at lower prices that sell, or if there's a lot of mansions, luxury homes that sell, that will skew the data as well. So this is kind of all over the place. The thing that I like to pay attention to is what is this ratio, right? What is the sales price to original list price ratio? We're back down here to 92% as of November. December 2023, I'm filming this here on the 13th, so we're about halfway through the month. December sales are going to be down. I'll be surprised if we hit 100 home sales according on the same data set here, strictly because you've got Thanksgiving, you've got Christmas, you've got New Year's, you got all these holidays. People are busy, they're doing family stuff. Not a lot of people are shopping for homes during December. So sales are going to be down in December, but again, going back to this ratio here, what does this actually look like? For November, we're at 92%. So the compared to what homes are listed for versus what they're actually selling for is coming down, right? We were at 97% back here in September, 95% in October, 92% in November. It's coming down. I think that December, by the time we finish the month, will be in the low 90% range as well. We don't always get a secure or a data set that I'm confident in during the month, right? We really have to wait for that month to close out in order to get accurate data. But this is important, right? If you have a home that's listed at 590 on a median basis, you should be able to negotiate that home down to 542. And again, this is based off the original listing price. So if they're at 590 and then they come down to 550, you might still only get them to 542. But if they're at 590 today and that's their first price that they're asking for, you might be able to get them down. It just might be a matter of waiting for that home, for the home seller to get a little bit more motivated through that process. So again, this here at 92%, very interesting. Lastly, we've got days on market. It has been mostly flat over the last couple months. We're at 40, 41, 35, 26, actually low here in September, and then 34, 33. So days on market has been relatively stable. Now, with that said, let's take a look at what's happening in the new construction market versus existing homes. Let's jump in here and take a look at homes that were already existing, right? That actually sold during this year. So we have year built at most 2022. So anything that was built in 2023 or going into 2024 is not going to be included here on this list. Let's zoom in a little bit here and take a look at this. So over the past couple of months, the median sales price has been around 500,000, right? We were 500 exactly, 500 there, 544. So a little bit higher there in September, down to 491 in October. Again, I think mostly due to those rising interest rates, we saw home prices kind of come down during that time. And then here at 544 in November. So home prices, or at least listing prices, got a little bit higher in November, but sales prices were adjusted down a little bit. Again, looking at this ratio right here, 92% in August, pretty low right there. It rebounded a little bit September, October. This is when inflation data started to kind of come back around. People were thinking, hey, the economy is actually looking pretty good. And then interest rates went up, and then October hit, and then home prices came back down again because of those higher interest rates. So 92% here in November. So looking at this, this is really important information. If you look at this ratio here, it's anywhere between 92 and 97%, which means that if you're a buyer going into this market, you can successfully, it's going to depend on the house, but you can usually negotiate at least 3 to maybe 8% off of that listing price if you're diligent about it. So it's going to depend on the home. If it's a brand new home, it's underpriced, maybe you're not going to negotiate on it, but if it's been sitting for a while, you might be able to actually negotiate a pretty good price on it. And again, that's a reminder, guys, make sure you're working with somebody who knows the market, knows what's going on, and knows how to negotiate through this process. I personally love negotiating. I think it's actually one of the fun things about it. We didn't do a lot of that during COVID just because things were crazy. But now that things have totally flipped and now it's more of a buyer's market, buyers do have a little bit more of the upper hand here. And I actually really appreciate that part of the process. So if you'd like to work with me, I would love to work with you. So please reach out to me. Again, my information is here on the screen. Let's take a look at what's happening with new homes. So we're going to come over here. Let's go to new year. We're going to look at year built minimum of 2023. We're going to pull up the results for this, and let's scroll all the way down. So year built 2023, this isn't going to include everything because unfortunately not all of the new construction homes do make it onto the MLS. So this data is extremely skewed. A lot of the builders, especially here in St. George, they don't always include this information on the MLS. So we're working with what we've got, but it's not going to be exact data here. However, we do have at least a little bit to kind of work with. July and August, we saw right here, July 460 and 490 for these 2 months, 95% and 97%. So home sales for new construction was actually pretty depressed during the summer. We didn't see a lot of that, but then it quickly rebounded. September, 98%, October, 101%. Now, I think the reason for this is partially because, again, the economy was kind of getting better during those couple of months, but also because builders were offering incentives for buyers to come in and purchase their homes so they can get those homes off their books, and also so they can offer a lower interest rate. When interest rates for the market are at 7.5% or 8%, builders come in and say, hey, if you buy one of our homes, we're going to buy down your interest rate. We'll get you down to 6%, maybe even 5.5% if you purchase one of our homes. And a lot of people jumped on that opportunity because they're looking at their options and saying, well, hey, I can spend, maybe a little bit more, maybe $10,000 to $25,000 more for a brand new home, but I can get an interest rate that's 1% to 2% below the market. That's a no-brainer for me. I'm definitely going to go that route. So what they've done here, that's caused prices to actually go higher for this data set, right? So 98%, 101%, 99%. So new construction homes still selling very quickly. There's inventory out there. Builders do have access to this. Again, they don't always put that information on the market. So if you're looking at new construction, you do need to know who to talk to, where to go. And again, that's something I can help you with if you're interested in that type of information. All right, so now let's actually take a look at what's happening with cash buyers, because these guys are driving a large portion of the market. So this data set here, I pulled this directly from our system. We have Washington County. We're looking at cash purchases. We've got total sales that have happened between January and November. The cash purchase is based on this price range right here. The number of cash purchases that happened, and then what percentage that actually is of the overall number of sales. So for instance, here we've got cash purchases between 100,000 and 500,000. We had 775 home sales that pulled up, and we had 265 of those as cash. So that's roughly 34.19% for that data set. Again, here, 500,000 to 1 million. Wait till you see the million plus. It's kind of crazy. 500 to 1 million, 732 home sales. 252 were cash. Again, almost exactly the same percentage, 34.4%. So that means that 1 out of 3 people who are buying in this market are paying cash for their home. This is much higher than typical. Usually we only see about 20% of home sales that sell for cash. Let's pull up this one here and take a look at what's happening in 1 million plus. That 152 home sales, 77 were cash purchases, which means that roughly 1 out of 2 home sales above $1 million, people are paying cash for. So this can be a lot of second homes. This can be a lot of retirement homes. This can be a lot of just high earners who have the income, they have the money to pay cash for their property. So we're seeing a lot of changes over here in the St. George market. We're starting to see a little bit of a slowdown due to winter seasonality. I think there's actually going to be some opportunities over the next couple of months as things are actually really nice here, especially with the weather. I actually think it's a great time to purchase in St. George during this time of year. I'm not saying that it's right for you. I'm just saying in general, the winter is not a bad time to do it. So if you're interested in this type of information, make sure to subscribe to the channel and don't forget to reach out to me. If you want to watch another video, you can click that right here. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you can click that right here. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.